In a Montreal Canadiens rebuild, in my opinion, these players could be on the block. Hey, everybody, I'm Rick. Welcome to Talking Habs, where you get your daily fix of Bleu Blanc Rouge. All right, so everybody knows that Montreal Canadiens aren't making the playoffs, and they've brought in a new executive vice president of hockey operations, and Jeff Gorton, a guy that's known to be have the ability to rebuild a team. And I think that the reason, at least one of the reasons that Jeff Gorton was brought in to do this job was to rebuild the team. And I think they're going to announce this. I don't think they're going to announce a reset or a retool. I really believe, in my opinion, that they're going to announce a rebuild. So these are the players that I think that if Montreal Canadiens are doing a rebuild, these guys will be on the trading block. Will all of them be moved out by the trade deadline? I doubt that. Some of them could go in the off season. Some of them might even stay. But I think these guys are going to be on the trading block, and I'm going to tell you why right now. Let's get right into it. First guy up on the list is, and I think everybody knows that this guy's going to move, and that's Ben Chiarot. Ben Chiarot is 30 years old. He also is a UFA at the end of the season, and in that case, since Montreal is obviously not making the playoffs, so there's no need to retain him for a playoff run and then maybe let him walk after that. He's got to be moved by the deadline. I think he'll be moved before that, but he will be moved by the deadline. He is apparently highly in demand. And I think he'll fetch a first-round pick. I really do. Maybe even a little bit more than that. He's a defenseman, physical, plays a lot of minutes. He's going to be in demand for a team that is a contender that might be, just need a little bit extra on defense. A team like Edmonton, who really needs to improve their defense. You could see that a guy like Chiarot could go there, and I think he'll get a first round pick coming back as a minimum too. I think he'll get maybe more. Next up is the guy that I also think could go before, except that he's injured, and I don't know that exactly the timeline on this coming back. That's Tyler Toffoli. He's 29 years old. Was great to get Tyler Toffoli on a great contract. He's got 2 years left at $4.25 million. There's no trade clause, no anything like that. I think he'll be in demand. He is injured. He's got a hand injury. He's expected back in March sometime. I don't know exactly in March when. Hopefully he can come back, play a few games, showcase himself a little bit. And I think that Toffoli himself could get you back a first-round pick. And if not alone, but if you can package these guys up. So I think, there's guys here that are going to bring back some first-round picks. I think Montreal is going to have multiple first-round picks. When it comes to the draft. Draft is in Montreal next draft. It's going to be kind of important for them to not only have like this high pick that we're all hoping that they get, but I think to have more than one. It's going to be a rebuilding year. I'm confident they're going to be rebuilding, and getting a lot of first round picks will go a long way, to speeding up that rebuild. Subscribe and ring that notifications bell, and hey, give a thumbs up. Next up on the list is Yoel Armia. Yoel Armia is 28 years old. Kind of a power forward. I just wish he was a little more physical, personally, but he's a power forward, big guy. I think he's like 6'4", 215 pounds. Very versatile player. He can play either wing. He can play on any line. So the guy can play top six, middle six, bottom six. Last year in the playoffs, he was playing on the fourth line, I believe, and he did a really good job there. I think he can be very attractive to a team. Problem is, 3 years at $3.4 million left. He just signed a new contract. I think that could be a problem, but you retain money. I think you might have to retain $500,000, maybe a little more on Armia. And to make that, make a team more likely to want to grab him. Armia is the kind of guy, like, he could be like a Mario Lemieux if he could only bring it every game, but he can't. He doesn't bring his tools to work every game, and that's a big problem. But I think he's going to be a guy that teams that looking for a little bit of depth, a little bit extra to contend will reach out for a guy like that. Next guy I've got on here is Mike Hoffman, newly acquired, signed as a free agent. Mike Hoffman, 32 years old. He's 32. In a rebuild, even if it's 2-3 years, he's here for another 2. What's the use of having a guy like that in a rebuild when you can get something for him? And I think that they can get something for him, especially if you package him up. If you're trying to get first-round picks, high draft picks. He has a good contract at that $4.5 million. It's only for 2 more years. Mike Hoffman is pretty steady. You know what you're getting from Hoffman. You're getting 20-plus goals, 20-plus assists, usually upwards of 30. He's great on the power play. He scores. And he's just not the best guy 5-on-5, but, a contending team wants to add some scoring depth. Definitely could be interested in Mike Hoffman. Like I said, $4.5 million is not too bad. I mean, maybe you retain a little bit of that too, but it's not too bad. And if you're worried about retaining salaries, as long as they're not too much, they're going to be in a rebuild. They're going to have a lot of ELC contracts, low contracts, and they'll have the money to retain some salary for a couple of years on these guys. That's my opinion. Next up is Jeff Petry. Jeff Petry's 33, just signed a new, I think it was a 4-year deal, $6.25 million. So he's in the first year of that. He does have a no movement clause that kicks in, but it also has a modified modified no trade clause. So yes, it's a no movement clause. He can say, I don't want to move, but he can agree to move and then give a list of where he'd like to go. I think he would be amenable to going back to the States. He's American from Michigan, and he might be very easily convinced to do that. He's a top 4 defenseman. He's a puck-moving defenseman. Consistent offense usually. I don't take this year for anything. This is a shitty year. It'll be his career low, but he's usually really consistent points-wise. A lot of experience, and can really help a team looking for an experienced top 4 guy. Go back to Edmonton. He could really help out Edmonton. I think, anyway, better than... Is that where Duncan Keith ended up? I think it's better than that. Next up. By the way, let me know in the comment section if you guys agree with me here. If I missed anybody that you think would be on the block, let me know in the comment section. Next up, I think people aren't gonna like this one, but you know what? It's Brendan Gallagher. He's 29. Yeah, he's a big leader here. I don't want to see Gallagher go, but he has said that he doesn't know if he wants to stay through a rebuild. To me, from Gallagher saying that to me means that he probably does not want to stay through a rebuild. He just signed a 6-year deal, $6.5 million. He's in the first year of that, so there's 5 years left at that. It seems like a lot, and Montreal may have to hold a little bit of that, but apparently I read a story that apparently when Montreal signed him to that deal, there were teams interested in him, a lot of them, at that kind of money. So it's probably still there, even though it's a shitty season in Montreal. I think other GMs know that. It's a shitty season. Everybody's numbers suffer. He's tough. He's pesky. He's a leader. He's a goal scorer. He's a never die, never quit attitude. I think especially if you're a contender looking for some extra scoring, Brendan Gallagher could really put you over the top. It is a big contract. That could be a problem, but I think, you can move him. Apparently he's going to be in demand. We're going to find out. Next up is a guy, it's the opposite. I think you guys will be happy I have him on the list, but I'll tell you honestly, I don't know if this guy is going to move. I have him here, so I'm okay with it, but I'll tell you why I don't think. This is Jonathan Drouin. Jonathan Drouin is 26 years old, so he's not old. He's in the right age if you're going to, rebuild and keep certain guys. But for me, I don't know. Yes, he's a consistent 50-plus points guy. This is one thing. He's consistent. If he plays enough games, he's getting 50 points and upwards of 60.
We want you to become a member of Talking Habs.
I think he'll benefit from a change of scenery. And he only has 1 year left on his $5.5 million. There's a modified no trade clause there, so he'll give a probably 10-team list of where he'd be willing to go. But I don't know. He's a French player. It seems like this is important more than ever here in Montreal now, and I think that would be the reason that they might hang on to him. Jeff Gordon is not. There's no there. If Bergevin was like, if we have to trade him, it's like I made a mistake. That's not that way for Gordon. So it's easy for him to say, yeah, we can move him. Will they? I don't know, but he's on my list. Next up, there's a list of UFAs. Ben Chiarot is one. There's 4 more, and we'll talk about them. They are Cedric Paquette. He's 28 years old. Matthew Perreault, he's 33 years old. Chris Weidman, 31. And they are all on 1-year low-paying deals. And Brett Kulak, I think he's making 1.8. He's going to be a UFA at the end of the year. He's 27. For Paquette, let him walk. Maybe you can get something for him at the trade deadline. Maybe not. If not, you let him walk. Matt Perreault, I mean, there's some leadership there. There's some experience. But, I mean, he's 33. We're in a rebuilding team. I don't know. You move him at the trade deadline. Maybe he retires. He's been injured most of the year. Or you let him walk. I mean, I don't see him coming back. And now there's 2. Those are 2 French players. But, I mean, the quality, they're not bringing you anything. I don't think in Drouin in Drouin's case, I don't think it's the same thing because Drouin can give you 50 points or more. These guys are not giving you anything. Chris Weidman, he's 31. He's a UFA at the end. Maybe you move him at the trade deadline. Maybe you let him walk. But, he's a guy I could see maybe they re-sign him for a year. If they're in a rebuild, he's a defenseman that can be a power play quarterback. He does a decent job at that. You might hang on to him. Otherwise, you let him walk or trade him at the deadline if you can. Now, Brett Kulak, I like Brett Kulak. I kind of think you hang on to a guy like that. He's still young, not expensive. I think he's underrated, and I would probably hang on to him, but I could see them moving him at the deadline for a pick. I don't know what you'd get from. I could see them putting him in a package to get a first-round pick with one of the guys, one of the first guys I talked about. I like him, though. I think he is underrated. I think they'll be interested in him. And but I would kind of hang on to him, but I think they might move him. Now, there's 3 guys I'm not sure of, and you'll see why. One of them you're not. I think actually 2 of them you're probably not. But I think instead of babbling, I'm going to explain. Okay, first off is Paul Byron. He's 32 years old. Paul Byron, he's just recovering from major hip surgery. He's just about to come back. Then he got COVID, so he'll be back soon. He's a Swiss Army knife, so he can play any position and he can play on any line in a situation for a few games, whatever. He's a leader out there. He wears a letter. He's an A, so he's a leader. His contract is the thing that might still hold him back from being traded, and that's $3.4 million. There's only 1 year left now. You might have to hold $500,000 if you're looking to trade him. I think there'll be teams interested in him. But I think Paul Byron could be one of those veterans that you hang on to and help these young guys. And he's a leader. He's got a letter. He can lead. I think that, I think he's a guy that you might hang on to for the last year of his contract. Next guy is, and here's a guy I think we should hang on to, but Jake Allen. He's 31 years old. I think if Jake Allen was available at the expansion draft for the Kraken, they would have reached out and grabbed him. They said so as much, and I think they would have done that. So there's demand for him. He's a great backup goalie. Here in Montreal, we hang on to him. He might end up being the starter. He's not. He shows cracks when he has to play too many games. So that could be a problem. But I think if you've got a young guy that he can mentor and you can split games, basically, I think Jake Allen would be great to hang on to. He's got a contract that's cheap. He's got it's $2.875 million. 1 year left on it. I think he's a guy you could probably re-sign. He could fetch a first-round pick. I think if you do trade him, I think he could get you a first-round pick. So there's that. So Montreal's having trouble getting first-round picks, and they feel, well, we need some. They could trade him. At that point, you still have Carey Price. I'd hang on to him. And I'm going to tell you why when I tell you the next guy, because the other thing is goalies don't usually bring you back what you hope they will. So this is like, if you think he's going to get your first-round pick, he might not. So there's that. And that it goes to the next guy, and the next guy is Carey Price. He's 34, he's going to be 35 in August, so that's before the next season starts. I hear everybody going, no. I hear some people going, yeah. So it's probably a mix on that. It's hard to justify his $10.5 million for any goalie in a rebuild, and that's even if it's Carey Price. Like I said, he'll be 35 before next season starts. It could be hard to move the contract. $10.5 million. He's going to be 35 before the next season. But his last work in the playoffs, the teams could probably, a team that really needs a goalie, Edmonton, like that, might reach out for him. It's 4 years left on his $10.5 million. It'll be 39 at the end. I don't know. For me, I don't know if it's worth hanging on to. You can make a case to hang on to him in a rebuild, but I don't know. And does he want to stay? He has the control. It's a no movement clause that he has, so he has the control whether he wants to go or not. I don't think, it doesn't say that there's also a modified no trade. So I think if he says, yeah, you can trade me, it could be to any team. Although I think they would ask him where he wants to go. I do. I think he might want to go somewhere where he can win a cup in the next couple of years. And that would get him into the Hall of Fame, I would think. So I don't know. I'm on the fence with Carey Price, but I think it's hard to justify that $10.5 million if you're rebuilding. In a retool or a reset where you think it's going to be pretty quick, that could be a different story. But in a rebuild, I don't know that you can hang on to him. You'll probably have to retain salary and moving him, and you might not get the return you think because he's a goalie and his age. And his last few seasons, regular season, haven't been great. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. With Carey Price, honestly, I don't know. That's it. These are the guys that I think would be on the block, the trading block, if Montreal goes into a rebuild. On a retool or reset, it might be different, but on a rebuild, that's what this video is about. These are the guys I think would be on the block or definitely just let go in case of some of these UFAs. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'd really appreciate to hear what you guys think of my choices and who you would have here that I didn't, if I missed anybody. So let me know in the comment section. That's it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Really appreciate it. Stay safe out there. Peace out. See you next video. I'm going to be doing one for who stays. Don't worry. Subscribe and ring that notifications bell. And hey, give a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hey, check out that video over there.